What's up, guys? It's Dr. Jim. I am your chiropractor, your natural health care expert, and your worldwide virtual health coach. And I want to welcome you to this video, part 3. Get it? 1, 2, 3. Part 3 of the 5-part plan on how to overcome autoimmune conditions and chronic healthcare conditions. All right, so this is part 3 of the 5-part series. If you didn't get the chance to, I highly recommend you go back and you watch part 1 and 2. They were awesome. We got a lot of great comments, a lot of feedback, a lot of great interaction. Really started changing a lot of people's lives already. So I'm super excited about the information we've been training. Now, when you're getting on tonight, if you wouldn't please put down in the comments where you're coming in from and whether you're watching it live or on the replay, because I want to know when you're getting this and where you're coming in from, because it's spreading out all across the country. This information is important, so please like it, share it, put it out everywhere. I think you're going to be happy you did. It's going to really change somebody's life. Now, the disclaimer for tonight's video is I am not your doctor tonight. You are not my patient tonight, and there is nothing about this video that constitutes a doctor-patient relationship. So please don't change anything about your current medical treatment because you heard me talk about something cool in this video. All right? And who is this series for? This is part 3 of the 5-part plan on how to overcome autoimmunity and chronic healthcare conditions. Things, who's this for? Well, this is for anybody that is struggling with autoimmune conditions, all right? Any autoimmune conditions, and those could be thyroid conditions, those can be, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, celiac disease, ulcerative colitis, type 1 diabetes, like literally any autoimmune conditions or a chronic healthcare condition like high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, like literally any autoimmune condition and any chronic healthcare condition. Or let's say you don't even have a diagnosis yet. You're not even sure what's going on, all right? No matter whatever you have going on, this is for you. If you don't have an answer already, well then this is going to be for you, okay? So if we're already on part 3, then obviously we should recap just real quick what was in part 1 and part 2. So if you're working to overcome chronic healthcare conditions, autoimmunity, then part 1 is you have to put out the fire, right? We talked about it because too much time is wasted in your current treatment, what we call chasing the symptoms. Like chasing your low energy or that skin rash you have or whatever it is. If you spend all of your time chasing the symptoms, you never actually get to putting out the fire. And the fire is the autoimmune condition. The fire is your breakdown in your metabolic processes. That's putting out the fire. So step 1 in the plan is you got to put out the fire. Step 2 is we want to beware of the treatment merry-go-round, right? We talked about it, like the treatment merry-go-round. Well, ways that we do it, actionable steps, right? Number 1 is don't spend so much time trying to find another name and another diagnosis for how you feel. Spending all this wasted time going from test to test to test just to get another name, which you already know you feel bad, and you already know you have all these symptoms, and you spend all your time and all your energy, and the doctors spend all your money basically trying to give a name to how you feel. And then at the end of that, they tell you, we're sorry, we don't really have anything for you, right? And so we want to get off the treatment merry-go-rounds, and that starts by not just going around trying to find more names for it. Number 2, we want to question the standard care, right? Just question. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying if you're doing it, understand what it's accomplishing and realize it's probably not treating the cause, it's treating symptoms. So while you're treating symptoms with the standard care, start looking to get to the root cause, all right? You want to beware of guru protocols, right? Now, I'm not saying that gurus don't have some great protocols. I'm just saying you don't know if that protocol is for you or not, right? And so beware of those guru protocols out there. And number 4, you got to avoid the search for the magic bullet, right? We're always looking for that one vitamin, that one supplement, that one thing that you're going to take that's going to fix everything. And I'm here to tell you there's too many things going on in your body for one thing to do all that. But I did give you some actionable steps of things that I think are as close to that as possible. Number 1 was vitamin D. Number 2 is CBD oil. All right, so now that brings us to part 3. I got a lot of notes here, people. I keep looking at them. It's just so that I make sure that you get the very best that I got to give you tonight, all right? So part 3 of the 5-part plan of how to overcome autoimmune and chronic health conditions is this. We got to stop the food fight, all right? I just like to give them cool names. So number 1, you got to stop the food fight, right? Well, here's the stop the food fight move, right? Well, typically people with autoimmune conditions and chronic healthcare conditions, I can break them down into 2 different types of people based on food. And number 1, that is the 2 kinds of people with autoimmune conditions and food. 1 are the ones who know that foods that they eat can, different choices they make with their diet definitely have an impact on how they feel and on their condition, right? Now, if you're one of those people who knows when you have dairy, it's a problem, or knows when you have wheat or gluten that that's a problem, that knows when you eat too many carbs, your blood sugar goes crazy and that that's a problem, or that your joints hurt when you eat X, Y, or Z. If you're one of those people, you know what I call you? I call you the lucky ones, all right? Because you already know that your food choices are having an impact on your condition. Because there's the second group, and these are the people that have no idea that when they have an autoimmune flare, that when their blood sugar spikes, when their energy crashes in the middle of the day, when their skin breaks out in a rash, they have no idea, and maybe you're one of them, that you have no idea that there's any connection between what you're putting in your mouth, what you're eating, and the expression of those symptoms. All right? And that's the tougher group to be in, but I'm here to tell you that it's definitely, your food is a big deal, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I want you to know that there's those kind of 2 different people. Some people, they know something, they just maybe don't know it perfectly, that their food is having an impact. And number 2, they have no clue. All right? And so if you're one of the people that knows your food's a problem and you've started to be able to identify it, you're one of the lucky ones. If you don't know it, well, we got to figure it out. It's an important thing. Now, we have got to stop the food fight, right? Because if we know that food can have an impact on it, people fight about food now, right? They're like, well, Janice can eat whatever Janice wants to, and she doesn't have any problems. I should be able to do that. Well, guess what? You're not Janice, okay? Or someone says, like, I want to be on that plan because on that plan you get to eat bread. Oprah. Well, guess what? You're not Oprah. All right? Or, maybe I should do keto. Like Bob at the office lost like 50 pounds when he did keto. I should do keto. Guess what? You're not Bob. All right? Or, and maybe you're like, I don't really want to, but everybody in Hollywood says that I should be vegan, that it's healthier, I should be vegan. Guess what? Now, I don't know all of you, and maybe some of you guys are famous, and this isn't true, but you're not in the movies. You don't live in Hollywood. So this is the thing. We've got to stop the food fight, right? There's so many different things coming at you from everybody. Some people say you should do this or not do this. You should eat meat. You shouldn't eat meat. You shouldn't have cholesterol. You should eat butter. You should eat margarine. It's been a food fight forever. And you don't know who to believe, and you don't know what's accurate and what's just a bunch of chatter that doesn't really make any sense. And so we have got to stop the food fight. So one of the ways that I'm going to give you a couple steps on how we do it. Well, number 1 is that you have got to realize, all right, that food and diet are a really big deal when it comes to your autoimmune condition and your chronic healthcare condition. And I don't care which one it is a really big deal. It is very, very important. All right? So when I say that, the reason I say that is I have hundreds of consultations with people with autoimmune conditions and chronic healthcare conditions. And when I ask them, so are you eating any special diet? They go, no. I go, all right, so what I'm asking you is, did your doctor tell you that your food choices and what you're eating could be having an impact on your autoimmune condition? Like, no. So what I have found out is that an overwhelming majority of people that have autoimmune conditions and chronic healthcare conditions have never, ever been told by their doctors that their food choices and their diet are having a direct impact on their autoimmune condition or their chronic healthcare condition. It blew my mind. That's crazy talk. All right. So number one, to stop the food fight, you have to understand that food really is important. Okay. So you don't necessarily, once you've developed an autoimmune condition or a chronic healthcare condition, you don't necessarily just get to eat everything you want like Janice, because Janice's metabolism hasn't broken down yet. Janice's immune system hasn't started attacking her own body yet. So Janice gets to do some things that maybe you don't get to do right now because you're so out of balance. All right. So we have to stop the food fight. Now, but what I'm finding out is nobody's telling you guys this. All right. Your doctors have never ever mentioned a change in food to you. So, and even if they do, sometimes the information is bad. It's not. So here's an example. If you're a type 2 diabetic and you follow the ADA, the American Diabetes Association's eating plan or diet or what they allow, okay? And I just looked it up right before this just to make sure I'm being accurate. So they say that you can have 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal. Did you hear that? 45 to 60 grams of carbs per meal if you're a diabetic. All right? Now, here's what I want you to understand. There is 4.2 grams of carbs in a teaspoon of sugar. So what they're telling you is that you can have 10 to 15 teaspoons of sugar per meal as a diabetic. Does that even sound anywhere close to what you would believe would be anything that's possible? Now, it's an oversimplification. It's for a little bit of the drama here, but I want you to understand that your diet is really important. Do you think if you ate that diet, that your blood sugar might go up? Absolutely, right? So that's a big deal. You have to understand that food and your diet, when it comes to your autoimmune condition and your chronic health condition, is a very big deal, even if your doctor never ever told you that. All right? Now, the next step is a lot of people's doctors did tell them that. Maybe they've moved on and they found a guru or some natural health care, person that wants to work with them. And so my next step in this process is what I call beware of the well-meaning food sensitivity tester. All right? So I already said that, the lucky people are the people that know that they react to their foods. They just maybe don't know exactly what they react to. And the unlucky ones don't. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people out there that are doing a ton of food sensitivity testing. And I'm going to tell you that there's some really good tests and there's some not good tests. And some people get horrible tests done and the doc goes, yeah, you don't have a problem with any of these things. So now you just go ahead and go, well, I don't have a problem with it. You eat it like crazy. Meanwhile, you actually do have a problem. You just had a crappy test. Does that make sense? So you have to be aware of the tests. Second, there's some really good tests out there, but you take them, and when you get done with the test, you're like, wait a minute. I tested positive like 373 things. Like, what am I supposed to be able to eat? Like, everything that I have eaten in the last 6 months has showed up that I had a reaction to it. Like, how am I supposed to possibly eat this? So we know we took a good test, and now it shows up that we have a sensitivity to everything we've eaten or anything possible we've eaten. So we've got to beware of the well-meaning food sensitivity test, right? Because sometimes you get a crummy test and it says you don't have any problems, and now you just go and eat and it's still causing you problems, or you get a test and it tells you that everything's wrong. So now you're trying to eat like the 4 things in the world that you can eat that you didn't test positive to. And guess what? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. If you just eat those 4 things for the next 3 months and you took another test, guess what? You're going to be it's going to be sensitive to those. Because one of the things you always have to do, even with well-meaning food sensitivity testing, is you always have to ask the next why question. All right? So if I test positive to everything I've been eating for the last 6 months, or I've got 373 things that I showed up sensitive to, why? And people go, well, gosh, my DNA must be awful that I'd have that many sensitivities. If your DNA had you coded to be sensitive to that many things, you would have been naturally selected out of the food chain a long time ago. All right? Because it's not typically really that the food isn't the problem in that situation. The food isn't the evil. Typically in that situation, what that tells me through a well-meaning food sensitivity test is that you actually have a gut problem, right? That you have a leaky gut, and that everything that you've been eating for the past 6 months, parts of it have been seeping into your bloodstream, and as it seeps into your bloodstream, your immune system attacks it, and now you show up sensitive to everything you eat. So here's the question. What's the thing to do? Do you quit eating all 373 things? Or do you go looking at trying to fix the cause, which is, in that situation, the cause would be increased gut permeability or a leaky gut, right? Do you see where you got to be aware of the well-meaning food sensitivity test? Because some people do a 90 food sensitivity test, and it tells them they can't eat 50 things that they've eaten regularly. Like, if it shows up that you're allergic to iceberg lettuce, give me a break. You're not allergic to iceberg lettuce. You've been eating lettuce because you wanted to be healthy and have a salad, and it's been getting into your bloodstream and your body's fighting against it. Okay? So I am much more concerned about your gut permeability than I am about your food sensitivity test. Because increased gut permeability, you're going to have every one of those. All right? Does that make sense? So number one, you got to understand that food is a big deal. All right? What you put in your mouth can and will impact your autoimmune condition and your chronic health condition. Number two is that food sensitivity testing, you've got to be aware of the well-meaning food sensitivity tester. We got to know, we want to understand it, but either they give you a crummy test that gives you free reign to eat whatever you want, not good, or it tells you got 3 million things wrong with you and now you can't eat anything, and it's like living in a food prison. And the truth is it's not the food that's the problem, it's your gut the problem. And if you don't fix your gut, you're going to continue to have all the food sensitivities forever and ever. All right? So that's a big thing. Now, step 3 in this process is, what is the perfect autoimmune diet? Or what is the perfect diet? Well, guess what? This is what I want you to know. There is no, I'm going to break some myths right here. I'm going to freak some people out. There is no perfect diet for everyone. All right? There is not a perfect diet for every single person, because every single person out there has a unique body chemistry. Every single person out there's metabolism breaks down proteins differently. Everybody's metabolism breaks down carbohydrates differently, and everybody's metabolism breaks down fats differently. So to say everybody should be eating keto, I mean, I love keto. I think it's awesome. I think probably more people should eat it than do. But to say it's perfect for everyone, it's just not true. To say everyone should be vegan or vegetarian, or that everybody should be plant-based, or everybody should be carnivore-based, or everybody should be low carb, or everybody should be high fat, or everybody should be high carb and low fat, like, it's just not true. We have to stop the food fight, all right? Because this is what we do know. There is no perfect diet for everybody. However, there is a perfect diet for you, all right? Because all of our metabolisms break things down differently. We have to eat for how our body works, all right? Here's another part to that. We all have a unique microbiome, all right? Now, your microbiome are all the bacteria, the good ones, the bad ones, the viruses, the funguses, the yeast, all the good and bad that live in your gut. Now, here's the thing. All the food you eat ends up in your gut, and it interacts now with your microbiome. So depending on your microbiome, will depend how those foods impact your body and your life. So here's an example, all right? Something you may not have ever thought of. Spinach, right? You want to eat spinach because spinach is good for you. Everyone's told you spinach is good for you. Popeye made a living out of spinach being good for him. And so you eat spinach because you want to be strong and you want to be healthy, and it's green and it's leafy, and daggone it, it's got to be good for me. Except spinach has something in it called oxalates. Now, oxalates are ultimately what make kidney stones, all right, in a lot of the cases. So here's the thing. There are bacteria in your gut that break down the oxalates in spinach, or that break down oxalates. However, so if you eat spinach and you have those good bacteria that break down the oxalates, then you eat spinach, it's super healthy for you, and you're fine. But if you don't have the bacteria in your gut that break down the oxalates, you eat spinach, you don't break down the oxalates, you get increased oxalate levels in your blood. That's inflammatory, and eventually it could create kidney stones. So you're eating spinach because you heard it was really good and it's healthy for everybody, but it may not be healthy for you, because if your gut microbiome is different than this guy, it may not be okay. So we all have different biochemistry, we all have different gut microbiomes. So there is no perfect diet for everyone, but there is a perfect diet for you, and we have to follow it. So we have to stop the food fight. Number one, by realizing that food is really important. It is a really big deal for autoimmune conditions and chronic healthcare conditions, all right? Number two, we've got to beware of the well-meaning food sensitivity testers, all right? And then number three is we have to understand that there is not a perfect diet for everyone, but there is a perfect diet for each one of us based on how our metabolisms work and our gut microbiome. All right, now, I told you I was going to give you some actionable steps, and if you hung around to the end, you were going to get them. All right, so here's what I want you to understand. There is no perfect diet, but if I could give you one thing that you could do, if you have an autoimmune condition, if you do this, it will be good for you in your diet, and it's very simple. It's not necessarily easy, but it's really simple. If you have an autoimmune condition, you absolutely must be gluten-free. I know, guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to break the news to you, but if you have an autoimmune condition, you absolutely must be gluten-free. All right? Now I'm going to tell you why, because people go, well, I've heard I don't have a gluten problem. How do I know I have a problem? It doesn't matter. What I want you to understand is, remember we talked about what increased gut permeability does to your immune system, and that leaky gut drives your immune system? Well, guess what we know? Gluten increases a chemical in your gut called zonulin. And zonulin, you have these tight junctions in your gut, and zonulin makes them looser. So these were once like this in your gut, they're now like this. Now that is a leaky gut. That is increased gut permeability. Whole foods can seep through there into your bloodstream, flaring up your immune system, driving inflammation, causing your blood sugar to spike. All of these things that are absolutely, completely negative if you have an autoimmune condition or if you have a chronic healthcare condition. So, if I can give you one step in you got to stop the food fight. If you have an autoimmune condition, if you have type 2 diabetes, you absolutely must stop eating gluten. I'm sorry. You want truth, I'm giving you truth right now. All right? So, that's my step. Now, the next step is, if you really want to know what is the perfect diet for you, if you finally want to put out the fire, if you want to get off the treatment merry-go-round, if you want to stop the food fight and know what's the perfect diet for you, like, what's the proteins, the fats, the carbohydrates, how does your microbiome interact with your foods? If you want to know, like how all of those things work together with your food, if you want to know what is the exact perfect diet for you, then I am giving you a special offer this evening. All right. So as many of you know, I am in a collaboration with a group of medical doctors in Europe who are using the most advanced testing in the world called, and it's backwards, but metabolomic testing. All right. And with this metabolomic testing, they can now test over 5,000 metabolites. And these are the end products of every metabolic pathway in your body, including the metabolic products of your microbiome in your gut. What are the end products of your breakdowns of carbohydrates, fats? And we use this testing. Every biochemical pathway in your body has a metabolite. And by knowing these 5,000 metabolites, we know exactly where your breakdowns are. And by knowing those breakdowns, we know exactly what your body needs naturally to fix it. Okay? And this group of doctors that I'm collaborating with have treated over 40,000 people with autoimmune conditions and type 2 and chronic health conditions with over an 85% success rate, which includes a significant reduction in symptoms and or a complete resolution of their condition. All right? And the way they do that is by getting these test results so that they know this is exactly the perfect diet for you and your metabolism. And this is exactly what you need to take to heal all of these biochemical processes in your body. And if you knew that, would that change your life? If you want that level of testing, if you want to know all about that, if you want, listen, I have 2 of these left right now. They are shipping me more. They have been going out the door really fast, but I have 2 left right now. This is what I want you to do. If you would like this kind of testing, if you want to know more about it, what I want you to do is put test in the comments. All right? If you put test in the comments, a message is going to shoot over to you in Messenger. All right? Answer the questions, watch the video, and at the end of that, if you're like, man, I want this, I need this, I'm ready, I want the perfect diet, I want to know what to take, I want to get better, listen, there's 2 more parts to this process, but if you want to know the answers to all that, and you want that, put test in the comments, and in Messenger you'll get all the information, and then you and I will have a 15 to 30 minute free phone consultation where we discuss exactly what's going on. We'll talk about the program, we'll talk about everything, and then at the end of that, if we decide to go forward, you can get the test, and I'll ship it to you, and you do the test, we send it to Greece, and then in a couple weeks, we know exactly what we need to do to help fix you. All right? So put test in the comments. Now, if you've put test in the comments before and you didn't get, if you feel like somehow we haven't hooked up yet, then I want you to direct message me and just type consultation please and your phone number, and I will have my assistant reach out to you. But this is simply but put test in, because we're going to give you some information. There's a video I want you to watch about the test in the program before we talk. But if it does not involve the stool. Thank you, Michelle, for that question. No, it does not. This is both blood and urine, and it reads all of your metabolites. Different kind of test. There are tests that do stool, but that is for different stuff. Okay, this is testing over 5,000 metabolites through all parts of your metabolic processes. Very different test than the one I think you're thinking of. All right, but I mean, that test would be give us about 1/10 of the information that this test will give us. All right, so if you want this test, put test in the comments. Please like it and share it. Follow this on Facebook. Send it out to your friends. Share it. If you put test before and we haven't hooked up, just direct message me and say consultation please. Put in your phone number. My assistant will reach out and we'll have that free 15-minute phone consultation. But thank you so much. I'm excited about the continuation of this talk. Part 4 and Part 5 are coming soon. So just like I tell my son every day before he goes to school, be your very best today. #never quit. And I believe that God wants the very, very best for you. And the day you believe that could change your life forever. Have an awesome, awesome day.